Let's talk about words and what they mean, and why a simple two-word sentence is quite possibly the worst thing that you can say to yourself. So, when we say things to people, we like to, we don't really think about what those words mean to someone. If you tell someone you're going to do something, that creates an expectation. That expectation is that you are going to do what you say you're going to do. If you break that, whether you intend to or not, I mean, you're breaking trust with that person. Well, the same thing goes with yourself. When you tell yourself you're going to do something, or when you have an affirmation that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, when you have, like, let's say New Year's resolutions is a good example. So many people will say, I'm going to do this, this, and this for New Year's, and then it never gets done. And then the next year, it happens all over again. Why does it keep happening? Because they've lost trust in themselves. Because every time you tell yourself something, or tell anyone else something, you're creating an expectation. When you do not fulfill that expectation, you create a consequence. The consequence being you lose trust. On the flip side, when you tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it, you're creating an expectation. And when you succeed, the consequence is you gain self-confidence. You gain trust in the person that you told you were going to do it. So, let's talk about that one sentence. That is quite literally the worst thing you can tell yourself. It is the most foul sentence in the English language. And I say English, but that's just because that's my language. This applies to every language. Every single one. This is a universally horrible thing to say. And I will explain why. And you guys who watch this channel, you know, I'm not one for mincing words. I say fuck. Let's just, I have no problem with swearing and all that. This is worse. Far, far, far worse. So you ready for this? The two little words that make up the most destructive sentence and the most limiting sentence in the English language is this: I can't. I can't. That's it. That's it. And I'll tell you why. Because when you say, I can't do something, your brain doesn't hear that. What your brain hears is, I won't. And so it never even tries. Or it might half-ass it. It might try a little bit. But it won't really do anything. When you tell yourself, I can't, what your brain remembers is all the times that you couldn't. every single time. That is why it is the most destructive sentence in the English language. Because it destroys potential completely to the point where you don't even try. When I tell myself I cannot, I don't try. We don't try. You don't try. It limits our potential to nothing. And here's the thing with that. I said before that when you tell yourself you can't, you remember all of the times that you couldn't. Here's the thing. We like to think of our memory as almost like hard drives on a computer, as a storage system. It's not. It's not a storage system. It's a repetition of patterns. The way those neurons fire in a pattern specific to that memory. And the more you reinforce that, the more they're going to take the path of least resistance. And they're going to keep firing in that order. How neurons fire is how they wire. When you tell yourself you can't, those neurons fire in that same pattern. I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. And then they get solidified in that system. And so when you come up with big changes and things that you know you need to do, they're going to fire in the path of least resistance and go, I can't. I can't because of this. I can't because of that. I can't because of this situation. And they're not even going to try. They're not going to try. How they fire is how they wire. Your neurons are going to take the path of least resistance. So when it comes to something that you know you can do, you know you can do it. You've done it before. But it doesn't make any difference because those pathways are so solidified that all you can think of is the negative and I can't. And so when your brain doesn't try it, guess what? It hears, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't. And so, what's the point? What's the use? Why should I even try this? I'm not going to be able to do it anyway. No, I'm just going to stay here where it sucks, but at least it's comfortable. At least it's familiar. Yeah, I have to deal with bullshit every day. I have to deal with my shitty finances. I have to deal with my shitty relationship. I have to deal with my shitty housing situation. I have to deal with being out of shape. But I can't do anything more because I've told myself I can't, and so I've told myself I won't. So what's the point of even trying? This is what your brain says. And it's subtle. We don't even think about it. We don't even think about how our brain influences us like that. But that's it. That's it. So, how do we rewire the brain to change that out? It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You tell yourself you can. You put yourself in that uncomfortable situation knowing that it's going to push you to your limits. You step out of that comfort zone. When you feel yourself getting super comfortable with something, that's not a good thing. That's your brain settling into its comfort zone and going, okay, I'm happy here. I think I'll stay here. I think I'll stay right here. I won't try anything else. And when we get into that pattern, that's when our brain starts telling us, no, I can't do that. So you have to push yourself constantly. Now, there's a point of stepping out of the comfort zone too much. The comfort zone is there for a reason. You have to step out, push yourself to the limit, and then step back in. Step out, step back in. And as you step out, that comfort zone will expand. It'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'll tell you a story similar to that. So, people who know me know that I do acting with the local community theater. My very first role was a little tiny production, and it wasn't difficult. I only had I want to say 10 lines throughout the entire play. It wasn't much. It was tough, but it wasn't a whole lot. My second role, however, that was a little private production from a friend of mine who was doing his own little thing. And then he introduced me, about 6 months later, he introduced me to the main group of the community theater, and they were putting on a play, and they needed extra people. And so he got in contact with me and said, hey, why don't you come down and audition? We need some extra people. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so the audition was for a musical play, which I'm all fine for. I like to sing and stuff like that. I'm not really a musical kind of person as far as plays go, but whatever, no big deal. And so I went down and auditioned, and I found out that it wasn't just one musical. It was like little selections of several musicals, just little select pieces from several musicals all put in together. And so initially the director had me slotted for this one part that I was like, yeah, I can do that part, no problem. And then things changed. About a week later, she calls me up and she goes, okay, so this guy's gonna do that part. I want you to do this part right here. I want you to learn this song so you can sing this song. And I looked up the song, and I'm listening to it, and it was the most chaotic thing I have ever heard. Now, I'm a bass player. I have a very good sense of rhythm and timing. I'm a by-ear bass player. I play almost exclusively by ear. This song was all over the place. And to clarify what this song was, if you've ever seen the play The Music Man, it was the song You Got Trouble. Go look it up. Take a moment. Go look that song up. I'll wait. Just pause the video here and go look that song up for a second. Got it? Yeah, that. So, when I looked this song up, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I had 2 weeks before showtime to learn this song 100% with all its early 1900s references that I had no clue about, no understanding of, its chaotic rhythm. I mean, it was just all over the place. It was hands down the hardest song I've ever learned to play or learned to sing. And it was a challenge. It was a hellish challenge because I remember when I started, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I can't learn this in 2 weeks. I can't. This is what I kept telling myself. And she just said, you can do it. And I was like, the more I listened to it, I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to tell myself I can't. I'm going to try it, damn it. I can do this. I can learn this. I can. And so I began practicing it in earnest. And not only practicing the lyrics, but understanding the character that I was playing and looking up these references that he was making to things that I hadn't, that were way before my time. And so it took 2 weeks for me to really get comfortable with it. And by the time show day came, I still wasn't 100% comfortable with it, but I mostly had it. And there were some screw-ups along the way. I mean, it's live theater. There are going to be breaks and stuff like that. But it was the hardest challenge that I had had in a long time. And it all started with me telling myself, I can. Now, looking back, I've been doing theater with them. I did my first show with a friend of mine. That was like 6 months before I got involved with the community theater. That was a little over a year ago. I've been doing shows with them ever since, and am currently going on my 10th show with them. Nothing, even learning a ton of lines and memorizing all of this stuff, nothing has been close to that initial challenge. Because it was so difficult that it set the bar so high that everything after that has become not easy, but I can look back at that and say, I've had worse. I've had harder challenges. I can do this. That's the power of I can. Right there. That's the power of I can. When you tell yourself, I can't, you won't. When you tell yourself, I can, you will. You guys have a good day.